that we're here today, but we're here. We're here because this young couple, Jessica Ross and Travion Taylor, their son was decapitated during a botched attempt at delivery at Southern Regional Medical Center in Riverdale, Georgia. In my experience, my 12 years experience practicing medicine and 20 years basically doing law, this is one of the most sad, egregious, and horrific situations that I've ever seen. We're here to announce the filing of a lawsuit against Dr. Tracy St. Julian, her medical practice, premier women's OBGYN, nurses, and other healthcare providers at Southern Regional Medical Center and Southern Regional Medical Center itself due to these horrific circumstances. Before we get started, let me just introduce the people who are here. First of all, we have Jessica Ross. She's the mother of the decedent baby, baby Travion Isaiah Taylor Jr. This is Mr. Taylor. He's a senior. We have the lawyer that represents him who basically engaged our firm to move this case. This is Attorney Corey Lynch. We've got my law partner, Attorney Keith Lindsay. We've got law associate here, attorney nurse practitioner Wanda Gant. And then we have she just finished law school, but she's studying for the bar. This is Clark Edmond. We also have Sho Watson in the back here. He's a senior associate or senior partner or counsel with our firm. Let me just cut straight to the chase and talk about the case itself. The case that we have filed is a wrongful death case on behalf of baby Travion Isaiah Taylor Jr. It's a medical malpractice case. But it also has another twist to it, which unfortunately happened. We have alleged fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress due to misrepresentation by people who are involved in Ms. Ross's health care. More specifically, in terms of the fraud which exposes these parties to punitive damages in Georgia, we have the failure of Dr. St. Julian to immediately inform this couple about the decapitation once she spoke with them after the procedure. We also have misrepresentation and fraud on the part of other healthcare providers there at Southern Regional who lied to this couple and told them that their situation did not warrant a free autopsy paid for by the county or by the state. Just the opposite. These circumstances for sure warrant an autopsy paid for by the state or by the county. And they also tried to encourage this couple to get the baby cremated before an autopsy was done. So there was an attempt to basically destroy evidence. And Attorney Lynch is going to go more into detail about that. This case shines a much brighter light on an issue that is endemic to our society here in America. It's the disparities in terms of maternal infant deaths and injuries in young black mothers in America. There's a 2021 Blue Cross Blue Shield study that dealt with racial disparities in maternal health. In that study, they determined after deep scientific research that in majority black communities, these women have a 63% higher incident of having damage to themselves or their babies. These numbers are similar in the Hispanic community. And then when you take this high number, the numbers are even higher amongst young people between the ages of 15 and 24. As you can see, Ms. Ross is both young and black. So I'm going to turn this over to Attorney Corey Lynch. He's going to let you know more about our clients here. Attorney Lynch.
Good morning. This case is, and this family is dear to my heart. They are from the same place that I am from. They both grew up down in Riverdale, in the North Clayton High School area, and they both attended North Clayton High School. And so that's home for me. That's where I grew up, and they hold a special place in my heart. And it's unfortunate that the healthcare providers at Southern Regional Hospital, after this horrific incident, told them these things and tried to hide what actually happened. And they also did not report the death to the authorities of Clayton County or the Clayton County medical examiner. This report was made by a funeral home. And after the funeral home waved the flag and alerted the authorities regarding this, it wasn't until then And then when Dr. St. Julian told the family what actually happened, up to that point, they had encouraged the family to, hey, just have a cremation done. Oh, no, you cannot do a autopsy. Well, if you want an autopsy, you have to get it paid for you by yourself. You're not entitled to that. They did everything in their power to try to not let the family know what actually happened on that date. And that's unfortunate. And there is a current investigation going on with the Clayton County Police Department and the Medical Examiner's Office, as well as the GBI, into the failure to report the death that happened and this incident. And because of this fraud, this misrepresentation, the family is seeking punitive damages against Southern Regional Medical Center, Dr. St. Julian, and other parties to the lawsuit.
Attorney Lynch is going to tell you a little bit more about our clients also.
All right, Jessica and Travion met at North Clayton High School, and that's where their love story begins. They've been together for a little while, and they were so excited about the birth of their first child, and they went to Premier for care because they were close by, they were in the neighborhood, and because there were women doctors there, and they thought that they would get the best care there. But unfortunately, their dreams and hopes turned into a nightmare that was covered up by Southern Regional Medical Center. And that's why we're here today.
Thank you, Attorney Lynch. Let me just tell you very briefly, let me just tell you all about what happened, okay? On July the 9th, 2023, just a few weeks ago, Jessica and Travion, they were excited. She was 37 weeks pregnant at that time, and they were really, really looking forward to the delivery of their firstborn child. Her water broke at about 10 o'clock in the morning on the 9th. Appropriately, she went over to labor and delivery over the Southern Regional. They admitted her and put her on an IV and gave her some medicine to basically progress the delivery. She labored for about 10 hours, and then probably around 10, or strike that about 8:40 in the evening, she was fully dilated, and they told her to start pushing. Well, during the course of the pushing, the baby stopped descending. There's something called a shoulder dystocia, fancy word for saying that the baby's shoulders could not fit through the pelvic girdle. It got stuck by the bone there in the pelvic girdle. That was recognized, and what wound up happening after that is just brutal. Dr. St. Julian came in, and she, in the process of trying to deliver this baby, pulled on the baby's head and neck so hard and manipulated them so hard that the bones in the baby's skull, face, and neck were broken. When Dr. St. Julian finally took Miss Ross to the operating room for a C-section, cesarean section, where they cut the belly and deliver the baby through the abdomen, when the womb was open, the feet came out, the body came out, and there was no head. The head was stuck in the vagina, and the head subsequently was delivered vaginally. The baby had been decapitated. Dr. St. Julian was grossly negligent for applying ridiculously excessive force on the baby's head and neck. Dr. St. Julian and the nurses at Southern Regional Medical Center, they were grossly negligent for not getting the help of the on-site in-hospital OB in a timely manner. They have a hospitalist obstetrician who's there on site. And when doctors have problems with delivery, the first thing you do is call them and you get help. You get another perspective, another angle. This was not done in a timely manner, negligently. And then also, the nurses at Southern Regional Medical Center were grossly negligent for failing to advocate and insist in other capacities that Ms. Ross got a C-section quicker, sooner, in a more timely manner. So those are the allegations that we claim in this suit. We just filed it. We're going to be very, very aggressive with the discovery. We're going to put all of these people who were in the room under oath and find out what they have to say specifically about what happened that tragic, tragic evening. that is the essence of our suit. That's the essence of the press conference, and we're going to open things up for open things up for questioning right now.
Have you spoken with the hospital? I mean, why do you think they tried to cover this up?
Yeah, we cannot speculate about what the motivations were for the lack of candor, the lack of disclosure, the misrepresentation, and the fraud. We will find out because we're going to put everybody under oath, and they're going to swear, and they're going to tell us what they were thinking. We don't know.
How long did it take Jessica and Trayvon to learn what happened to their child?
Attorney Lynch, if you would. This is dealing with the fraud and cover-up.
The family went in on the 9th for the delivery of the child. They were not notified of what actually happened until the 13th, a few days later.
And that was from the medical examiner? That wasn't?
No, that was from the funeral home.
That was from the funeral.
Yes.
Can you also speak to the fact that they were not allowed to hold their child?
Yes, they were not allowed to hold their child. The hospital basically said, hey, well, we can't let you hold the child. We can, and my understanding is that they at one time did not want them to see the child. But what they did, the hospital wrapped the child up very tightly so that they could not see what actually happened, and they were able to see the child behind the glass.
And let me be more specific. In an attempt to basically misrepresent and miscommunicate to the family, when they wrapped this baby up tightly, they propped the baby's head up on top of the blanket to make it appear as though the head was actually attached when it wasn't.
So they actually saw the baby on the day of the delivery?
The day that morning, well, the day of the delivery, it's my understanding that same day. So when I say same day, it kind of went from the 9th into the 10th.
10th, right.
So the stat C-section was called at about close to midnight. The surgery was over at 3 in the morning. The first conversation that Dr. St. Julian had with the couple was at about 5 in the morning, and that's when there was not total candor and disclosure at that time. The records reflect that Dr. St. Julian came in the next day and the next day after with the intention of actually telling the couple the truth. The couple reasonably didn't want to talk to her at that time, and finally, a day after she was discharged, there was a meeting that occurred 4 days after delivery where Dr. St. Julian came clean.
Just for clarity purposes, can you kind of go through the timeline of when the birth happened or the C-section,
Sure.
when they learned their baby did not make it, and then when they learned what actually
Okay.
happened?
And all of this is in the complaint, in the facts, but
And can you step closer to the?
yeah, all of this is in the complaint and it's in the facts, but the water broke at about 10 in the morning. They were admitted into the hospital at L&D at about 10 in the morning, 10:11 in the morning. The labor continued at about 8:40 in the evening. That's when she was fully dilated and she started pushing. All of the shoulder dystocia and the failure to sin occurred from 8:40 until about midnight. At about 11:49 p.m., after Dr. St. Julian had been manipulating the head and the neck and the like, trying to get this baby delivered, that's when she finally called for the stat C-section. And they took Miss Ross from the labor and delivery suite, which is a separate room. The operating room was just right next door. So they rolled through the doors, and then they proceeded and started with the C-section. The C-section, the baby was delivered at about 12:11. That's what the records show. You could go back to the complaint and just verify. But about 10 minutes after rolling the baby back there, the mother back there, the baby was delivered again. Half of the baby first, and then the head a couple seconds after that. And then at 5 in the morning, after the surgery was over at 3 in the morning. At 5 in the morning, that's when Dr. St. Julian came in and gave them the misinformation.
Did your clients raise concerns during the delivery about how things were going, and did they feel like they were ignored because of their race?
The answer is an emphatic yes. There's going to be more evidence developed in this, but my clients asked for a C-section much sooner than it was ever delivered, while the baby was viable.
And I don't know if Jessica or Trayvon are willing to talk about just what the emotional impact has been like.
I can tell you, we've asked them to do that. They've declined at this point. It's just too overwhelming for them. I mean, that was the plan as of yesterday, but when they were sitting in the conference room, they looked at y'all and said, we just can't do it.
Sorry, one more question. Did they feel like insurance or lack of insurance was playing into this at all, and the decision not to go for a C-section sooner?
No. All right. My law partner, Keith Lindsay, just has conclusionary remarks.
Thank you, Ron. Thank all of you for coming and attending this most important story. It is as horrific as it sounds. We're happy to email copies of the complaint to each and every one of you. We'll get with our paralegal Alexis for that. And then if you have any questions or requests for interviews, contact Ryan Julison. His number is 321-377-6877. Ryan Julison, and that's JULISON @gmail.com. Again, thank you all for coming.
All right. Y'all, let's come on.